The crowd was screaming, not in excitement, but in terror. A lone man stood in the center of the arena, breathing slowly, smiling slightly, as if the entire world existed only to entertain him. His armor glowed under the sun, his muscles coiled like a predator waiting to strike. But what terrified the crowd the most was not his presence. It was his identity, because emperors were meant to rule from thrones. But this emperor ruled from a killing field. As he raised his sword, the entire arena fell silent. A whisper ran through the Roman Colosseum. The emperor is fighting again, and someone innocent will die today. And that emperor was Commodus, Rome's nightmare in human form. Cut to black. The emperor who lost his mind before he lost his empire. Before you judge Commodus, you must understand one thing. He wasn't born a monster, he was made into one. And Rome was responsible. Because when you raise a prince inside a palace of paranoia, surrounded by assassins, tricked by senators, raised by a father who believed in power, not love, you don't get a ruler, you get a weapon, the kind that eventually turns on its own maker. Tonight, I will take you into the twisted mind of the emperor who wanted to be a god, but ended up becoming Rome's most humiliating disgrace. Stay till the end, because Commodus's death is one of the most shocking betrayals in Roman history. And trust me, you do not want to miss it. Chapter 1. The Making of a Monster. Commodus was the son of Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest philosophers in history, a stoic king who believed in discipline, wisdom, and virtue. But Marcus made one fatal mistake. He loved Rome, but he forgot to love his own son. While Marcus trained armies and shaped empires, Commodus grew up surrounded by tutors who feared him, servants who flattered him, and politicians who whispered in his ear. From childhood, Commodus learned one thing: power isn't inherited, power is taken. But the real corruption started when Commodus was only 15 years old. Soldiers began calling him the Chosen One. Senators bowed a little too deeply. And someone, we still don't know who, whispered poison into the boy's mind. You are better than your father. That was the moment everything changed. Commodus didn't want to be wise. He didn't want to be respected. He wanted something darker. He wanted to be feared. The first taste of blood. When Marcus Aurelius died, the empire expected a philosopher king. They got something else entirely. Commodus became emperor at just 18, a child wearing the crown of the world's most powerful empire. At first, Rome celebrated him. He was young, beautiful, charismatic, the perfect face for a new era. But then, the killings started. Not in the arena, not yet. The first killings were subtle: poisonings, disappearances, accidents. Anyone who questioned his decisions? Gone. Anyone who compared him to his father? Gone. Anyone who reminded him of his childhood weaknesses? They disappeared without even a funeral. Commodus wasn't ruling Rome. He was hunting it. The gladiator obsession begins. One night, Commodus slipped into the Colosseum disguised as an ordinary spectator, and what he saw changed him forever. He watched two gladiators fight, watched their swords clash, heard the crowd scream, and something inside him snapped open. This wasn't entertainment, this was worship. Because in that arena, the strongest man wasn't the emperor on the throne. The strongest man was the killer with the sword. And Commodus, the most powerful man in the world, felt weak. Unless he became a gladiator himself. From that day, he began practicing in secret. Hours of training, days without sleep, metal clashing against metal. Not because he wanted to win, but because killing felt like the only thing he was ever truly good at. His instructors begged him to stop. Senators warned him this was beneath an emperor. Commodus didn't listen, because in his mind, he was not just an emperor. He was a god, and gods spill blood to prove their divinity. The emperor enters the arena. The day Commodus walked into the arena, Rome lost all respect. An emperor, the ruler of the known world, dressed like a gladiator, carrying weapons dipped in gold. He believed he was unbeatable, and why wouldn't he? Every fight he ever participated in was rigged. His opponents were starving, injured, or tied down. Some didn't even have weapons. Commodus would stab them once, raise his arms to the crowd, and expect worship. He didn't want to win. He wanted to perform, and Rome was forced to clap, because anyone who refused to cheer was dragged into the arena the next morning, not as a spectator, as entertainment. The descent into madness. As his addiction to killing grew, his sanity collapsed. He started calling himself Hercules Reborn. He believed lions were his brothers. He forced senators to fight cripples. He renamed months after himself. He demanded temples, statues, sacrifices. Commodus wasn't ruling Rome anymore. He was rewriting it. But the senators had finally had enough, because they realized something horrifying. If Commodus kept killing every person who disagreed with him, Rome would run out of Romans. The final betrayal. Here's the twist most people don't know. Commodus didn't die because he was a tyrant. He died because he made one single mistake. He trusted someone. His mistress Marcia discovered that Commodus planned to kill her. Her name was on a list he kept beside his bed. And on that list was almost everyone who had ever helped him. The betrayal was not political, it was personal. Marcia poisoned his wine, but Commodus survived. He vomited violently, barely conscious but still breathing. So a wrestler, one of Commodus's own gladiators, stepped into the room. He wrapped his hands around the emperor's neck. No crown, no armor, no crowd. Just an emperor dying like every other man he had killed. Helpless, weak, begging for air. And that's how Commodus, the self-proclaimed god, the gladiator emperor, died. Strangled on the floor by a man he once thought he owned. The aftermath no one expected. Rome didn't mourn him. They celebrated. Statues of Commodus were thrown into rivers. His name was wiped off monuments, and every record of his gladiator performances was destroyed. Rome tried to delete him from history, but they failed, because history remembers monsters better than it remembers kings. Commodus wanted immortality, and in a twisted way, he got it. If you want more dark, hidden stories Rome tried to erase, stories of emperors who lost their minds, generals who betrayed their armies, and rulers who met deaths more brutal than anything in the arena, subscribe right now, because the next video is even darker. We're going deeper into the shadows of an empire built on blood. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.